That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Boogeyman, which is I'm going to say it's the third film directed by Rob Savage, even though Host was kind of a medium length thing, that 20th Century Studios is releasing June 2nd, 2023.
We reviewed both of this director's films.
Mm-hmm. Host, which is a pandemic COVID film set on Zoom, which I thought was kind of inventive.
And Dashcam, which was controversial because of the main character, but I really liked both of those films.
Well, Dashcam, you don't have to like the people. They don't have to be good people to enjoy the film. And she's a terrible person, the protagoist. But it's
in the film, but then we got a
Dashcam.
lot of comments saying that in real life she is. But I didn't know that, and I don't know that it matters because she's just I guess playing herself in the movie. But anyway, I really like those two films. I did not care for this one. You liked it more than I did?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't like this film. It's very basic and derivative.
You're giving it the same score I am?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that I was hopeful because the Stephen King adaptation track record is not good cumulatively. But this is based on a short story from, I have fond memories of Night Shift, which was a 70s collection that also included the Children of the Corn short story. And that paired with the director, it's got Mark Heyman, who wrote Black Swan, doing the script, as well as Scott Beck and Bryan Woods. You know, they wrote the script for the first A Quiet Place, but they also wrote and directed 65, starring Adam Driver. So, here we are.
The story, high school student Sadie Harper and her little sister Sawyer are still reeling from the recent death of their mother. Devastated by his own pain, their father Will, a therapist by profession, gives them neither the support nor the affection that they try to claim from him. When a desperate patient shows up unexpectedly at their house asking for help, they bring in a terrifying entity that preys on the family and feeds on their greatest suffering. So the unexpected guest is played by a guy I recognize.
David Desmolchin, who we just saw play Albert DeSalvo in Boston Strangler. He's in the Suicide Squad, all kinds of stuff.
Is he in the Black Phone?
No.
No? Okay. Anyway, he's the patient. So he is married and had 3 children, but the 3 children all died mysteriously. But he believes that an evil entity killed them, and he's referring to this entity as the Boogeyman. So he goes to Will, a therapist, who we need to talk about his office because his office is in his house. Mm-hmm. It's not even like an ADU.
Nope.
It's like you walk through the front door and then like there's his office. So one day, Lester just walks into the house and says, "I need to talk to you. Like you need to talk to me." He tells him the story. And then he goes, and then Lester like leaves the office while Will goes to like discreetly call the police. And Lester hangs himself.
In a closet.
So the main character of the movie turns out to be Will's daughter.
Sadie, played by Sophie Thatcher of Yellow Jackets.
Who's like a teenager. Mm-hmm. And she and her sister are seeing weird things, and then the older sister is convinced that there is this demonic creature. So the bulk of the film is her trying to figure out what to do. She doesn't figure out what to do, but everything culminates with the 3 family members, dad and the 2 daughters, in the basement of their house with this boogeyman. And of course the boogeyman needs to like occupy the darkness. So they're in the dark in the basement. And Sadie's able to defeat it by setting it on fire. So we think all's well that ends well. But like a million movies just like this, the final scene always indicates that this evil entity really isn't dead. The end. This story felt so thin. Like they really stretched something out.
They did. Well, again, it's based on a short story that was already made into a short film in 1982.
I thought it was pretty dull.
Yeah, because it is.
Like I was in the theater kind of like nodding off. I do think the creature looks creepy.
It does, but it also is preying on the thing of something that's just out of eyesight that's that you can't quite visualize in the dark. Those are the creepiest moments. It's like the original Amityville Horror where you just see the glowing eyes in the dark. That's the creepiest part.
But we've seen this story so many times, like an evil thing preying on the vulnerable, and then the one character finds a way to defeat it.
Lights Out, Babadook, Come Play.
But this one isn't, and then I think also because we've seen some better things recently, like Smile.
Yeah, I agree.
This just felt like a waste of my time. And we did have to pay to see this, so I do feel like I wasted my money.
Or, like Babadook. Like,
of course, Babadook.
I need this writing to be at the level of let's deal with this family's grief. Like even the description you're reading, Chris Messina, who I do quite like, doesn't seem like he's withholding from them. He just seems like he's working a lot and doesn't quite know how to handle it. And then it's paired with Sadie's got these raggedy ass friends at school who are mostly terrible.
Let me go through these notes. So Sadie has been gone from school because her mom recently died. So her first day back, she's wearing like one of her mom's dresses. And as soon as she goes to her locker, her group of friends like accost her. The main one is a nice girl, but the other three are not. And they're making fun of her and kind of being mean and talking about her dress. Specifically, the one friend, the black girl, with the worst, she's going on my list of worst hair for 2023. She has like this dandelion hair that's like an awful bleach blonde. And she's making fun of how Sadie looks. Then they get into a fight, which results in Sadie, because I guess she left like her lunch in her locker on the day that she found out her mom died in a car accident. Mm-hmm. So all this time has passed. So the food in the lunch bag is like spoiled rotten. So the food ends up spilling on Sadie's dress because she got into a fight with one of the girls. And I don't know. I didn't care for the main character, Sadie. That characterization or the actor, I think that girl felt too... First of all, she reads like a 30-year-old lady to me. Her voice... And then her style seems interesting.
Well, strangely, she's very poised, kind of like Anya Taylor-Joy, almost. There wasn't a lot of, I think, this... She's very self-assured, and I think we needed a little more vulnerability as an entry point to really feel for how this family is struggling.
Because the juxtaposition of this daughter with her dad, who is apparently a licensed therapist, just feels awkward because the dad is unable to communicate, has a really difficult time processing grief. It just seems like for someone who's a therapist, and we see him giving a session in the beginning of the film, it just seems awkward that he's so bad at dealing with his own life.
There just seem like lots of weird boundaries crossed because the first patient of his is like, I shouldn't even be talking to you. You're dealing with so much more than I am right now.
Poor boundaries and then HIPAA violations left and right because he's in his office in his house, and while this woman is having her session, the kids are right outside the door listening. Then his office is not locked. So we see patient information just out in the open. Mm-hmm. And Sadie does have easy... They're not even in a drawer. They're just like in a trash can, not shredded. And then there's a tape recording of Lester talking about what happened. So when Lester dies, of course, the police come. And then we see the dad trying to tell the cop what Lester said. And I'm like, why doesn't he just play the recording?
Right?
I just think the writing is so weird.
The writing's pretty... Yeah.
It's subpar, for sure.
It is subpar because... And also just extremely derivative. Like... it's shown that this Boogeyman, which even the title, like, can we? It's like every now and then there was a really bad 2005 film with Barry Watson called Boogeyman. It's like, can we?
Of course, I think Sinister, because that's supposed to be about the Boogeyman.
Or Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween saying, "Was that the Boogeyman?"
I didn't like the title either, but I think getting back to like the subpar writing, then we see Sadie watching like a YouTube video on how to contact the dead,
which is kind of a non sequitur, but it gives us that person on YouTube is showing like how you can ask the spirit to move a flame, which of course
she uses
corresponds
later in the film.
With like, "Mom, are you here?"
I think the best scene in the film is Sadie and her sister go see a therapist played by
Lisa Gay Hamilton,
and the first therapy session we see is actually a scene that we get in the beginning of the film, which is the younger daughter's afraid of the dark. So the therapist is basically doing like exposure therapy. So she has this big red cube that illuminates, and it's on like a timer. So she tells the young girl, this is what we're going to do. The light's going to intermittently flash with longer frequencies between them so that you can acclimate to the dark and see that there's nothing going on. But of course, as the audience, we know that something's going to happen. So we see during that session that the girl can see the boogeyman in the room and she's afraid. I thought that was more the vibe I was going for.
The creepiest bit is you get a shot of Lisa Gay Hamilton smiling very creepily.
Yes. Like I almost wish this would have been more campy, maybe. Like that, because this trope is so familiar. It's like, can we do something different?
Right. Anything of interest here can we go for? Instead of like of course, everywhere the boogeyman visits, it's like an infection in the house. Like you see,
It looks like blood vessels and the black,
rot. So Sadie ends up making her way to Lester's house, where his wife,
oh my god,
Rita, is still living, even though the house looks condemned, and
her entire family's dead now.
It's played by Marn Ireland, who's in a couple other decent films this year, including Eileen, one called Eileen I really liked. But she's just hanging out with a shotgun and a whole lot of, what are those candles? What are those, but those certain kinds of candles.
They're not votives. They look like actual candles that she has, like she bought out all, like the liquidation at Bed Bath & Beyond, like she bought all the candles because she knows that Boogeyman's scared of the light. But I thought that character was poorly written. That was laughable.
Especially because she's in another really good movie that we reviewed that I really liked, The Dark and the Wicked.
Oh.
Was that anyway? She's just lurking around. Doesn't look. Is she preparing food, getting food, eating? Just with these candles and a shotgun, and she comes up with a plan with Sadie to lure the boogeyman there to try to kill him.
Well, before that happens, the first time we meet the wife of Lester. So when Lester goes to see Will, the dad therapist, he shows him a picture of the boogeyman, like one that his child drew. And the reaction of Will is like, he's horrified. So of course, as the audience, we're like, show me the picture, but we don't see it. So now Sadie has the picture. So when she goes to see Lester's, widow, she shows her that and she's like, where did you get this from? And then as the audience, we see the picture. That thing looked like
this arachnid looking.
It looked like a spider that only had 4 legs. It was not scary at all.
No, but to be fair, certain images we see of the creature the special effects look good.
The actual creature, yes, but the image is like, why did Will react so like extremely to this drawing?
I took that as to mean like there were too many signs this man was giving off that things were maybe dangerous and he was in danger.
Sure.
And
that's why he called the police.
And that was his moment of process, like I need to get out of this room.
But also when Sadie's at the house with the widow, there's like a Polaroid set up to like automatically take a picture, and it does take a picture of Sadie. So as the audience, of course, we're like, oh, once that Polaroid develops, we're going to see something creepy behind her. So of course she gets it, and we see there's something creepy. And that girl doesn't even react to the photo.
I know.
Like, there is a monster behind you, and she doesn't even react.
We just need a little. There needs to be a little more rhyme and reason for. We get that the boogeyman like plays with his prey. He imitates loved ones to lure them in.
Like he mimics their voice like a parrot.
But then, or a minor bird, and then, so then he's just going to terrorize them for a certain amount of time, and then gets their. It's like he's trying to suck something out of Sadie, like take her soul or something. But then I don't know. It's just
because the dad's not processing the death of his wife. At a point, he decides to get rid of all of her belongings. But then Sadie gets upset, and then he says, "You're right. I shouldn't be doing this. You take all her stuff." Take it down to the basement, and you can keep what you want. So then there are boxes labeled like this, that, and then personal. Mm-hmm. Like personal items of the dead mom. So of course I'm like, maybe you shouldn't open that box. And then when she opens it, the first thing on top of the box is a camcorder. And I'm like, girl, don't you turn on that video. Because I'm assuming like, but then I'm thinking it's PG-13, right? So it's not going to be like a sex tape of the parents.
Again, another missed opportunity.
But then I thought that was a missed opportunity. Like it could have been something really like
weird,
but no,
disturbing.
It's just a childhood video of the mom holding the baby.
Aren't we here to be disturbed? Where's the disturbing shit?
So the final scene is, or the climax is that the boogeyman has taken the dad and the younger daughter while Sadie is away.
To do God knows what with, he's just clutching at them.
So she like runs back home and she realizes they're in the basement. And what does she grab? A hockey stick. This little girl thought she was going to defeat the boogeyman with a hockey stick.
That's been shot with a shotgun.
That she has already seen been shot, and that didn't kill it. So I don't know what.
And that hurried its ass up back to her house, lickety split.
She had a phone because she was on the phone with her dad. I don't know why she didn't call the police. My final thought is both of the I would love to know what licensed therapists think of this movie, because I thought both the dad and the other therapists were garbage. Mm-hmm. The way they're handling their clients and like the way they're... Because the final scene is the dad with the two daughters with the other therapist talking, and I just felt like, I don't think this is appropriate. But what do I know? Anyway, what would you give this movie?
Again, I've been saying this a lot. I've seen a lot worse, and it looked good. It was shot by Eli Bourne, who was the DP on the new Hellraiser film.
It looks fine.
It looks fine, but it's just like, geez.
I didn't like the story or half the characters.
No, it's not quite caca, but it's just like...
This could have been an episode of like a VHS 99 or something. Like it could have been that.
I don't think it would have felt derivative there.
Sure.
It would have felt... Tales from the Crypt would have done more.
Sure,
with this scenario. Anyway, I think 2 is fair.
I would give it 2 out of 5. Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.